Hey guys! First I wanted to show you this blog post I just wrote, or at least part of it. So I was posting on Askfm, and then one of my things got deleted, and I didn't know why, and I read their terms of service, and they don't allow rude words, trolling, being mean, upsetting people, provoking or antagonizing people, or anything shocking. And you can't advocate anything illegal like drugs or torrents. So like if you said drugs should be legal, that would violate their rules. You also can't discriminate, of course. Like if you say anything bad about feminists, then I assume that's discrimination against women and you can get banned from the site or whatever. Anyway, they obviously don't enforce their rules because half of the posts have rude words or trolling or something. So, and I was just getting asked a bunch of stuff about drugs. And the guy was like telling me how I should do speed. Um, which is funny. But anyway, so their terms of service is not true. They don't actually follow it. So they have some set of rules for what they delete. And the actual rules are not posted. You know, it's like a secret set of rules that they won't admit they have for what they actually use. So I think that's really dumb. And also, they didn't tell me they deleted it. It just disappeared, which is a terrible way to do it when stuff just silently disappears. Other sites are sometimes better. Like on YouTube, one of my videos got taken down, but I got a notification with a reason that some people had complained about copyright. And also, I could still access the video, just no one else could see it anymore. So I didn't lose my content. Whereas on Askfm, the answer I wrote is gone now. I don't have it. RIP. Alright, so yeah, you guys should read my blog regularly. Got lots of posts. Alright, now we've got lots of new emails. Because I wrote a long conversation with myself and other people just kept posting other stuff. So yeah, I wrote like 50 posts and then other people wrote like 50 posts and now I have a lot of unread. Because I didn't just write the conversation, I wrote other stuff too. Anyway. Like this guess the author stuff. And like Atlas Drug Review, line tip. So, what should I read? So the company from June 24th, that's a lot. And then yesterday, that's a lot again. And Brett Hall showed up. It took him like 2 or 3 years to notice we'd switch lists. No, I don't think he failed to notice. But yeah, he finally showed up. Alright, I want to try this mono-poly trying again thread. Is this the first one? Yeah, it's a reply to 1999. Alright, we're going to take a look at this thread. Alright, I kind of agree with this guy, who, the author's not there. A lot of the old posts, people didn't attribute half the quotes. Like, frequently they would just attribute one person, and then any of the older quotes would not have an author, if there were any. Which is lame. So, somebody was like, how do you have a monogamous person and a polygamous or polyamorous person together, because the mono person's going to get all jelly and not want the poly person to be with other people. Oh, well, I was agreeing with the green text, and now I see that Aaron Minter agrees with the blue text, which I haven't read yet, but that should be interesting, because I just happened to read ahead a little bit. Okay, so blue text. Blue text is SKG, Stephen K. Grant. So he says, so you choose polygamy for yourself, and they choose monogamy for themselves. So basically, they choose they're not going to sleep with anyone else, and you choose you are. And yeah, that's not really what monogamy means. Monogamy does not mean we're all welcome to sleep with whoever we want, and I'm just happening to only sleep with one person right now. But they're welcome to sleep with everyone. That's not how monogamous people think. I mean, I can imagine a person who thought that way. It's not common, but it's possible. But um, that's not what the word monogamy today means. Monogamy refers to a much more common thing. That other thing, which we could imagine, you'd want to name it something else to differentiate it because it's completely different. Well, that's the attitude of disagreeing with monogamy and marriage and how shit works. Like, basically, that's incompatible with a normal mono person. So his whole point is maybe the mono person won't be mono, basically. See, but if you totally respect autonomy, you wouldn't be mono in the first place. That's not the mono perspective. I mean, yeah, there's like you could take a bunch of different perspectives and say they're all mono. But then, 99% of the mono people, this isn't their perspective. But if you have the other people who are super rare and not like normal mono people and believe something completely different, then the word monogamy evokes in people's minds, then I guess it would work. But it's supposed to be like a choice for the relationship. The normal view is it's not one person like being monogamous for their own sake. It's a monogamous relationship. If you just want like personal monogamy, um, that's different than a monogamous relationship, the normal thing that exists in the world. Right? It's like you're saying that what if someone wants to be exclusive and you're like, well, you can be exclusive and I won't be. That's that's just not how the word exclusive works in our culture. Words have meanings, not just like that you can sort of make up by using ARR theory, but they have meanings that have to do with reality and what people think and what they refer to in our culture. And this guy's totally ignoring that. So we're going to have to disagree with Minter. Well, I'm gonna reply here. Let's like look it up. Alright, monogamy. That's kind of ambiguous about it being mutual. Oh, I guess I won't use that. I don't think it really goes against me. Like, people know there's an expectation that it goes both ways. It's very common knowledge. Like, people might even define it this way and not realize that that didn't say the other person had to do it too. Like, I could easily see people saying this was the definition, reading this definition, and thinking it went both ways. Because people just so completely assume it goes both ways that they, like, wouldn't even notice that this doesn't actually say that out loud. It's just, like, completely taken for granted. Station. Alright. Let's see if we have to revise any of this after reading forward. Oh, I don't have my thing up. Show recording monitor. Okay. People with all kinds of incompatibilities will date each other and try to make it work somehow. So yeah, you could still try, but like the guy said, you know, there is no problem at all. I'm gonna quote that. I'm gonna quote Mentor. Okay. Okay. Post. Post, post, post. Oops. I don't know if post count thing is a good idea, but I'll try it a bit more. Alright. Thread continues a lot. Oh, really? Me? He's bringing me into it. I saw this before, like really briefly. I just glanced at it. I thought, though, when I glanced at it, that he was going to be like, it is bad to have preferences regarding other people's preferences. And Elliot does, so Elliot's bad. But apparently he's trying to say is good, and Elliot agrees with me, which I totally don't. Although we'll have to get into the details, because I don't completely 100% disagree with that. It would depend how he elaborated. But big picture, I don't think I'm going to be agreeing with him. Oops. Alright. File. Fix quoting. Okay, I think that helps. Let's see. Why did he throw in this if he thinks? Like, does PAS think that? Why is he like dumping it on me? Doesn't he agree with that? Oh, well, that's not that important. Let's tone this down a little. Maybe you can figure out what I think. Yeah, that's better. Maybe. Alright. 2. Yeah, see, she starts, preferences aware. She starts qualifying what type of preferences, which is similar to how I replied, where I started pointing out differences between different types of preferences. Just because you can call something a preference about a preference, that's like a big category of things you could in some way call that. But, there's a lot of distinctions to be made. Right, so like this is a type of having a preference about someone's preferences, which is the sort of thing that this kind of phrase normally refers to. It's like a typical example, and it's like, it's pretty awful to, you know, treat it as their job to play the role you envision for them and try to control their life, and then feel bad if they're not playing the role you want. And yeah, it's super common. So the reason we're talking about it and using a phrase that has something to do with it is it's super common and you should be able to recognize that. And it's more interesting to discuss that than to try to make the phrase slightly more exact, I think. Like, if you're genuinely confused, I mean, it might have been better if instead of arguing, he asked for an example. And then she could have written this example. And then he'd be like, oh, I get it. I wonder if that's what he's going to say next. Because she wrote the example anyways, even though he argued instead of asking. So anyways, if he didn't know that this is what we were talking about, then like this example should clear it up. But if he did know that this is what we were talking about, then he was sort of splitting hairs, and I think not the most productive way. Because if you know this is what we're talking about, like, you could reply about it. And if you really want to talk about, like, the details of the phrasing, you could say, you could say something like, I get your point, but on a fairly unrelated tangent, let's talk about wordings. Because I'm interested in wordings. And you could change the subject line, you know? If he wants to be pedantic, it's fine if it's clearly just like a tangent, and he knows it's not the main point. But if he thinks he's arguing the main point with his tangent stuff and his little wording stuff, he's not. Because the main point is about this that I'm highlighting. About like this typical marriage type stuff. About these mono people who previously Aaron Minter somehow thought would be compatible with poly people. So I'm going to point that out. Oops. Okay. Okay, I'll just say that. Three out of 3 so far. Another example. But no question mark. Do you think, and it's supposed to be like a question, but there's no question mark. This is actually really awkward because of the colon. There's like a punctuation issue here. Where, like, how do you write this where you want a question mark and a colon? At the same time. I'm going to post that. Because I'm interested. Oops. Don't save. Reply all. Trying to change my habit to reply all. Right. I'll just leave all this tags. Whatever. Normally if it's like just the FI tag, I delete it. But in this case it's like FIARR, which is unusual and stands out, so I'm just going to leave it the way it was to not confuse people. Okay. We can drop some context as we're asking a pretty specific question. I'll just leave one level of quoting. Or one extra. I think that's fine. For my purpose. 4 out of 4. I totally prefer people use their minds. Like, if you ask me, would you rather they use their mind or not use their mind? I'll be like, oh, use their mind, for sure. For sure, for sure. And they'll be like, well, do you have, like, mild feelings about this or strong feelings? Like, do you just sort of not care, or do you think it's a big deal and you actually do care? I'll be like, oh, I totally care. It makes a huge difference. But, like, if they don't, you know, I have other things to do. I'm not going around bugging every individual person who doesn't want to think. I just bug, you know, some of them when I feel like it. Especially ones who show some interest. Like, if they sign up for FI, then they're asking for it. Let's see. What should I write? Maybe we should go back and replay this in the first place. I could probably say more about this, but I think this is enough. It gets a point across, and it advances the discussion. Let's go. Alright. I don't know if I'm going to finish this thread right now. Or not. It's kind of long. Oh, okay, he's catching on that there's different kinds of preferences. And that we could differentiate. So my post should help with that too. Because I clarified a bit when I was talking to him about different sorts of preferences. Like it being intrusive or not. That's what I talked about as one of the main points. Whether or not you're intrusive. So yeah, maybe he'll just be like, oh, okay, I agree, intrusive preferences are bad. And let's not argue terminology. Hopefully we got a reply something like that. Well, this is a preference. This is pretty intrusive. This is about a specific person and wanting them to think a specific way. So, if you really want them to, and like that's really important to you, um, that's really controlling. But if you're just like, you know, I prefer they do that or else I'm just gonna go hang out with other people, then that's not very intrusive. Alright, I'm gonna reply. Alright. That'll help clarify a bit for him, I think. I'm mixed. Alright. That's pretty promising. If someone's saying they're mixed, then they might listen a bit. Maybe they'll learn something. Alright. This is like a gold oath. It reminds me a little bit of the oath from Atlas Shrugged. It's just sort of like this statement of life. It's whatever. I don't know how close it is. It's not super close. It just sort of reminded me. It's missing like the oath part. Like it's weaker. But it's sort of a statement of a lifestyle in a kind of similar way. Just sort of an impression I had. Alright, let me get the book. Alright, here we are. I swear by my life and my love of it that I will never live for the sake of another man nor ask another man to live for mine. So, using your individual mind, wanting everyone to use their individual minds and do what's best for their own lives and not infringe autonomy or people's preferences for their own lives. That's very individualist. Like, this is also very individualist. Let's see. Okay, this is mixed up. Okay, so if reality went contrary, and then this is contrary. Oh, in a non-chat way. Okay, I was thinking the issue was just posting to FI. It was post to FI specifically like a chat or text. Okay, I got it now. Because post to FI was like the same thing instead of the opposite. The part where it became opposite was this non-monogamous and non-chat way. So they're both opposites, and it says contrary, so they should both be opposites to the original. Okay. Makes sense. And she's writing a lot with we, like we are attached to this image of doing X. First of all, speak for yourself. And second of all, I'm not sure she's speaking for herself, given the ideas she posts on list. So she's more like speaking for other people, I think, and using we. She means like she's mostly speaking for like the group of people who aren't reading this. That's mostly who that we is. So that's kind of funny. Because, yeah, the FI people is like one of the most self-selected groups where you get the kind of people who aren't like that. Because, like, we merged the ARR list into FI. And it's been part of the culture around here for a long time. And it's also, like, a very individualist culture with objectivism and stuff. So, coming out from multiple angles. There's a lot of reasons for FI people not to do some of this stuff. So, we meaning the people not reading this. It's I know it's just like it's a writing style. It's trying to show like sympathy with the audience, kind of like if you have that problem, we're in this together, sort of. I usually use you, but I use you not like to mean a specific person, just to mean like people in general. Like if you're attached to this image of doing X, then you'll have problems. Would not mean you, Aaron, or you, PAS. It would just mean like people in general. It's using the word you like person X or people XYZ. Or, group of people, But, yeah, we also, it's totally readable. It's interesting, I think. Okay. You know what, I'm spacing out a little bit, and this post seems kinda good. So I think I'm gonna stop for now and read it later. And pay more attention. And we're at like an hour, that's long enough. Alright. Yeah, so alright, two things to leave you with. First of all, there's this email more like I am thread. See all this posts? Yeah. No one's replied. There's like 33 of them. Reply in my thread. And then second thing, reply to my videos. Write comments relating to my videos. There's been almost no discussion in my videos. So you guys all suck. Later.